So in today's video, we're going to talk about stem-changing verbs. Stem-changing verbs in Spanish are conjugated differently than regular verbs, but they all follow the same pattern. The three most common patterns are E to IE, E to I, and O to UE. So for example, the verb querer becomes quiere, the verb sonreír becomes sonríe, and the verb dormir becomes duerme. So let's take a look at stem-changing verbs where the E in the stem changes to IE. Let's take the word pensar, which means to think. The stem is pens, the E changes to an IE, and that gives us piens. El equipo piensa en una solución. Yo pienso, tú piensas, usted, él, ella piensa, nosotros pensamos, vosotros pensáis, ustedes, ellos, ellas piensan. Keep in mind that the nosotros and the vosotros form are not affected by the stem change. Now let's take a look at the word preferir, which means to prefer. Prefer is the stem, E goes to an IE, and that gives us prefier. Hugo prefiere el diseño morado. Yo prefiero, tú prefieres, usted, él, ella prefiere, nosotros preferimos, vosotros preferís, ustedes, ellos, ellas prefieren. Take a look at this list for more verbs that follow the E to IE stem change rule. Now let's take a look at some verbs where the E changes to an I. So the first one is conseguir, which means to achieve or to get. So conseg is the stem, we change the E to an I, and that gives us consigue. María consigue su objetivo. Yo consigo, tú consigues, usted, él, ella consigue, nosotros conseguimos, vosotros conseguís, ustedes, ellos, ellas consiguen. Then we have servir, which means to serve. Ser is the stem, E to an I, that gives us sirve. El camarero nos sirve un desayuno delicioso. Yo sirvo, tú sirves, usted, él, ella sirve, nosotros servimos, vosotros servís, ustedes, ellos, ellas sirven. Take a look at this list for more E to I verbs. Now let's take a look at some stem-changing verbs where the O in the stem changes to a UE. The first one is almorzar, which means to have lunch. So almorz is the stem, the O changes to UE, and that gives us almuerz. Omar almuerza pasta todos los días. Yo almuerzo, tú almuerzas, usted, él, ella almuerza, nosotros almorzamos, vosotros almorzáis, ustedes, ellos, ellas almuerzan. Then we have encontrar, which means to find. So encontr is the stem, the O changes to a UE, and that gives us encuentr. Rafa y su perro encuentran un juguete en el parque. Yo encuentro, tú encuentras, usted, él, ella encuentra, nosotros encontramos, vosotros encontráis, ustedes, ellos, ellas encuentran. Take a look at this verb list for more O to UE stem-changing verbs. So now we've just covered the three most common patterns, but let's take a look at some other possibilities. Let's take a look at the word jugar, which means to play. So the stem here is jug, the U changes to a UE, and that gives us jueg. Keep in mind that basically the only verbs that follow this rule are the verbs jugar and oler, which means to smell. So we would have yo juego, tú juegas, usted, él, ella juega, nosotros jugamos, vosotros jugáis, ustedes, ellos, ellas juegan. David juega a videojuegos todo el día. Next we have the verb adquirir, which means to acquire. Here we have a different stem change, so the stem is adquir, but the I changes to an IE, which gives us adquier. And basically the only verbs that follow this rule are the verbs adquirir and inquirir. Yo adquiero, tú adquieres, usted, él, ella adquiere, nosotros adquirimos, vosotros adquirís, ustedes, ellos, ellas adquieren. Raúl adquiere acciones. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please leave us a comment or give the video a like.